Hi, this is Stacy Kennedy, founder of www.100krealestate.com, and I'm also the creator of the home study program, How to Make It Big, Flipping Apartments Using None of Your Own Money. Now, what I'd like to talk to you about today is an area of real estate that many of my new coaching students and new people that I'm training get hung up on, and that is, once you've found the great deal, how is it that you want to communicate to the seller or to a listing agent that you're interested in the deal? So what I wanted to do is just spend a few minutes with you going through one of the sections of the home study course that's going to help to enlighten you in that area and give you some confidence so that you can move forward once you found a deal that you love. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about is the letter of intent. So a letter of intent is a document that indicates to a seller that you're interested in their property. However, it's non-binding. And this is in contrast to a real estate contract. So a real estate contract would be when you write an offer and you put up an earnest money deposit with that. If the seller accepts your offer as you've written it out, it's a done deal. You're in contract. So doing a letter of intent gives you the opportunity to have some flexibility, and it's very common in the world of multifamily and apartment investing and commercial. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that just so that you know how to move forward. And as a resource for you on my website, I have this particular letter of intent on there, so you're welcome to go and download it and use it. Okay, so the letter of intent is essentially a document that gives you the opportunity to identify the property that you're interested in, and essentially talks about the date that you want to close. Because it's important when you're dealing with a seller to let them know your intention. So is your intent to close in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year from now? It's important. So this gives you the opportunity to indicate to them your interest. This area called terms of acquisition, this is my favorite part of the letter of intent as opposed to a real estate contract. And the reason is, it gives you plenty of space to actually give them multiple offers. So for example, I call this the ABC offer. So for example, offer A might be, now offer A is always going to be your absolute lowest offer, and it's typically a cash offer. And the reason it's so low is because if they accept it and they're interested in receiving all cash, you're going to have to go out and raise all cash. So you have to get a great deal because it's going to be easier for you to raise the funds if the deal is phenomenal. And you know what, sometimes sellers are they get to the point, they are don't wanters, they don't want to deal with it anymore, they just want you to cash out and be done quickly. So you have to make this a stellar deal. So the first offer would say A, cash offer of $300,000. Okay, and then there's going to be offer B. So offer B is typically some kind of mortgage. So for example, if you were going to offer $400,000 with a regular 20% down mortgage and 80% financed. So you'd put offer B, purchase price to be $400,000, buyer to get conventional mortgage of 80%, putting 20% down. Okay, and you can get as detailed as you want. If you want to get into more details, you certainly can. I'm just going to give you some of the highlights here. Okay, and then offer C, for me, is typically when I'm asking the seller to finance. And that is hands down my favorite kind of deal. Because, dealing with banks and cash and everything else is, there's just more to it. It takes more effort. If the seller's willing to carry, I'm all about that. Now, the numbers still have to work. You're not going to just go take a seller financing deal just because someone offered it. However, I am usually willing to pay a little bit more if the seller's willing to carry, because I'm not going to have to pay the closing costs that go along with getting a loan or dealing with other investors, etc. Okay, so for example, I would say something along the lines of offer C, purchase price to be $430,000, seller to carry 95% financing, buyer to put down 5%. Okay, now the reality is most sellers who are going to accept seller financing are not going to accept 5% down. So they're probably going to be looking for you to have more skin in the game. They're going to want more cash. That's just an example. But you never know, and it never hurts to try it and see. Okay, so you've had the opportunity to say, here's a cash offer, which is super low ball. Here's a regular finance offer, which is higher, and here's a seller financing offer that's the highest, because that's going to be the easiest for you to do, and it might serve them too. Maybe they don't need all the money right away, and it also gives them an opportunity to spread out their tax consequence of selling the property to you. Okay, so now this particular letter of intent that's on the website and that's also in the home study course. I call this the binding, non-binding letter of intent. And the reason is, the wording of this is extraordinarily clever. It's actually a 2-page letter of intent. The verbiage in this is very clever in that it essentially, if the seller signs whatever you've put for your terms of acquisition and just accepts the offer, it actually is binding on the seller, which is very, very unusual. In the business of real estate, letters of intent are usually non-binding on any party. This particular one is written in such a way that it can bind the seller. However, the buyer, who's going to be you, cannot be bound. So, and I'll give you the opportunity to get online and take a look at the language. But just know you're completely safe in writing as many letters of intent as you want, because they're not going to be binding on you. But what it does is it opens up the opportunity for you to have a conversation with the seller about them wanting to sell their property and you potentially wanting to buy it, and opens up that dialogue so that you can find a middle place and a win-win. When you come to an agreement, and it usually starts with a letter of intent in writing, there sometimes will be some verbal back and forth, sometimes in writing. I mean, literally every single real estate transaction is going to be unique and different. But once you come to an understanding and an agreement on what this deal is going to be, at that point is when you'd put it into a real estate contract where you have all the terms and agreements, and then you guys would go ahead and sign it. Okay, and that's different than residential real estate where you're offering on a house. You don't typically use a letter of intent. You usually go right to contract. So it's one of the benefits of going into multifamily. It lets you kind of, throw some spaghetti out there and see what sticks. So once again, I hope this has been helpful for you. My name is Stacy Kennedy with 100krealestate.com. We have lots and lots of resources available for you on our website. We have individual coaching available if you are wanting to move forward in the area of apartment investing and needing a little assistance in that area. We also have a home study course that shows you how to do an ultimate management turnaround. So if you had a property that was really underperforming, it got ran into the ground, and you want to basically take it and turn it around and make a big profit on it, or just hold it for a big cash flow, this is the program that shows you how to do that. And soon we'll be coming out with another program that's just basic beginner real estate investing for apartments. So you can keep your eyes open for that one too. In the meantime, have an awesome day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.